Hello students, uh, in the ongoing series of software engineering, we have already discussed about testing, software testing. Okay, my name is Devashish Padhi. I am a faculty in Chikadi Mahavidyalaya. So, we have already discussed about what is generally testing. Testing is nothing but finding out the errors in your program. Okay, while executing a program, when I am finding some errors, that procedure is known as my testing procedure. Why should we test? Now we test for finding out some errors in a software program. Why should do the testing? Who should do the testing? Generally, in every software industry, separate team members are present for testing purpose. Separate team members are there for development purpose. Separate team members are for coding purpose. So there are different teams are available for testing the program. So in every software industry, testing team must be there to test the code. Then what should we test? We should test the program's responses to every possible input. What is the program's result if I give some input? Or my software behaves exactly or not what we expect in the requirement analysis phase. Okay, that means we should test for all valid and invalid inputs. What are the different testing objectives? The first objective is, first and important objective is finding the defects. End result meet the user requirement. We make sure that the end result meet the user requirement. Third objective is it satisfy the SRS document, whatever present in the SRS document, that meets the program result or not. Okay, we will confirm in the testing phase. Then to gain the confidence of the customers. Okay, so these are known as the objective of the testing we have already discussed. Then these are known as the principles of software testing. Testing shows presence of defect. We have already discussed that. Exhaustive testing is impossible. Early testing, defect clustering, the pesticide paradox. Testing is context dependent. Absence of error fallacy. These are known as the principles of software testing. This is not in your syllabus, just for general knowledge purpose. I am giving the different principles of software testing. Okay, then in the last class we have already discussed about software testing processes. That is nothing but my unit testing, integration testing and system testing. All these things we have already discussed. Just make a quick review. What is generally unit testing? Unit testing is nothing but testing a unit of a big program. Means testing a small part of a big program. That is known as unit testing. Whenever we will develop a software, that software can be divided into different modules, and that modules can be divided into different units. In case of unit testing, we can test each and every unit whether they work properly or not. That is the main purpose of your unit testing. Okay, these are the advantages of unit testing. Issues are found at early stage. Unit testing helps in maintaining and changing the code. Since the bugs are found early in unit testing, hence it also helps in reducing the cost of bug fixes. Unit testing helps in simplifying the debugging process. We have already discussed all these things. For quick review, I will just show you the slides. Next, component testing. It is also called as module testing. The main difference between unit testing and component testing is, in unit testing, the developers test their piece of code, but in component testing, the whole component is tested. In case of unit testing, we will just test the piece of a code, what I have already told you. But in case of component testing, the whole component is tested. there are problems associated with testing a module in isolation. Okay, then the main things are, in case of unit testing, stops and drivers are used. Both are the dummy module, but what is the main difference here? See, stops are the called program, and in case of stops, top down approach is generally used, but drivers are the calling programs, and in case of drivers, bottom up integration testing is used. This is the main difference between stops and drivers. Stops are the called program and bottom up approach is used. Drivers are the calling program and stops are the called program and top down approach is used. Drivers are the calling programs and bottom up approach is used. We have already discussed these things. Next, what is the integration testing? After unit testing is done, I can combine the different units of a module, or you can say that I can integrate different modules, then test the whole module at a time. That is known as integration. Integration means combining all the units and then test. Okay, and it always occurs after unit testing and before system testing. Okay, next thing is, see, this is module A and this is module B. Both these modules are integrated, so this is known as my integration testing. We have already discussed these things. Okay, so here see, this is the unit testing diagram. All these units are separated. Integration testing means these units are combined and tested. System testing means this whole system, all the modules are combined and then tested. Okay, and different types of integration testing approaches are big bang integration, incremental, top down integration, bottom up integration, sandwich testing. We have already discussed this much things. Okay, so no need for repetition. Okay, then different types of system testings are alpha testing, beta testing and acceptance testing. Alpha testing is always done at the developer side and beta testing is always done at the customer's side. Okay, next thing is, in the last class we have already discussed about white box testing. What is the main goal of white box testing? Now, in case of white box testing, the main criteria is, the main condition is, the tester must know the internal code of the software. Without knowing the internal code of the software, we cannot perform the white box testing. Again, I am telling, the main criteria of white box testing is, in case of white box testing, the tester must know the internal coding of the software, otherwise the testing team cannot perform white box testing. Okay, so we have already discussed about this white box testing. This level applicable for all unit testing, integration testing and system testing. Okay, and these are the different approaches of white box testing: basic path testing, structural testing, logic based testing. Okay, we have already discussed these things. So what is today's topic? The next and important type of testing, and it is your last testing in your syllabus. that is known as my black box testing. Okay, this is the last topic of your testing. We've already discussed about what is the testing terminologies, different approaches of testing, unit testing, integration testing, system testing, white box testing, and the last one is black box testing. See the diagram. Black box means we are not in a position to know the internal structure of a system. This is known, so it is called as black box. So it is called as black box. Why it is called as black box? Now we are not in a position to understand the internal structure of the system. So this is called as my black box testing. Okay, see, this method is named so because the software program in the eyes of the tester is like a black box inside which one cannot see. Okay, we cannot see inside. We cannot see inside means we cannot bothered about the internal structure. Internal structure means without knowing the coding, we can perform the black box testing. This is the main difference between your white box testing and black box testing. In case of white box testing, the testing team must know the internal structure. That means the testing team must have a knowledge of coding. But in case of black box testing, the testing team does not have any knowledge of the internal structure. That means without any knowledge of coding, you can perform black box testing. Difference between white box, black box. White box means must knowledge about the coding. Black box testing means does not require any knowledge of coding. Main difference. Next, see, a black box test takes into account only the input and output of the software without regard to the internal code of the program. What I have previously told you, we can only give some input and what is the desired output. These things are important in case of black box testing. We cannot know what is the internal structure, what is the code, without regard to the internal code. This thing is important. Without regard to the internal code of the program, we can perform black box testing. Internal code, okay, means source code. Then these are the different names of your black box testing. This is functional testing, or you can say that behavioral testing. Black box testing is otherwise known as functional or behavioral testing. It focuses on determining whether or not a program does what it is supposed to do based on its functional requirement. In case of black box testing, we cannot bother about the functional requirement. Only we are focusing on the input and output. It attempts to find errors in the external behavior of the code in the following category. It only attempts to find the external behavior, not in the internal structure. Okay, only external behavior. First thing is incorrect or missing functionality. What are the different functionality are missing? What is the interface error? Interface error means through which we can interact with the software, or you can say that the GUI screen through which you can interact with the software, that is known as my interface. What is interface? Interface means by which we can interact with the software. If any type of interface errors are present, that can be solved in black box testing. Only the external behavior, okay? Errors in data structure used by the interfaces. If in case of interface any type of data structure is used, and if any errors are there, that can be solved here. Behavior or performance errors are solved. Initialization and termination errors are also solved in black box testing. Then the question is, why this black box testing is required? The first thing is, it helps in identifying any incomplete and inconsistent requirement. If I have some incomplete or inconsistent requirement, then we can perform black box testing. It addresses the stated requirement as well as the implied requirement. What we have stated in the SRS document, that can be addressed here. That means that can be solved here. It encompasses the end user perspective, what the end user wants. Black box testing cares about that. Then we have already discussed this point. It handles valid and invalid input. Can be started early in the cycle as soon as the specifications are ready. Okay, black box testing is always started early, so that cost must be low. So when to do black box testing? When we can perform black box testing? Now we can perform black box testing as early as possible, starting from the design phase. Starting from the design phase, you can perform black box testing. Okay, starts from the beginning of the software project life cycle, regardless of the SDST model chosen for the project. Test scenarios and test data can be prepared when the software is in the design phase. Okay, starting from the design phase, test scenario and test data can be prepared. Once the code is ready and delivered for testing, test scenarios are executed. When the code is ready and delivered for testing, these test scenarios are executed and find out any type of errors are present or not. Then like your white box testing, black box testing is also applicable to integration, system and acceptance testing. Okay, the higher the level and hence the bigger and more complex the box, and more black box testing methods comes into use. If we can go higher and higher, more black box testing methods are used. Then how we can perform black box testing? Now different techniques are there to perform black box testing. The main two testing approaches are, the main two techniques are boundary value analysis, equivalence class partitioning. These two are important. First is boundary value analysis, second is known as equivalence class partitioning. In addition to boundary value analysis and equivalence partitioning, another methods are there also, that is known as requirements based testing, positive and negative testing, state graph based testing. These are also there. So first we will discuss what is the requirement based testing. How we can perform black box testing by applying this technique. So what happens here, we begin by looking at each customer requirement. We are caring about each customer's requirement to make sure that every single requirement has been tested at least once. In case of requirement based testing, we can test each and every input from the customer's side. The first test case we had write for any given requirement is the most used success path for that requirement. By success path, we mean that we want to execute some desirable functionality without any error conditions. Thus, it deals with validating the requirement given in the SRS of the software system. whatever written in the SRS document that can be validated in case of requirement based testing. Then explicit requirements are stated and documented as part of the SRS, whereas implicit requirements are not documented but assumed to be incorporated in the system. What are the explicit requirements that are seen in the SRS document that can be tested? Also, implicit requirements that cannot be seen are also tested in the black box testing approach. Okay. Next, second one is positive and negative testing. Positive testing tries to prove that a given product does what it's supposed to do. What is positive testing? Now, positive testing means the software performs correctly as per our expectation. What we have to expect from the software will work as usually. The purpose of positive testing is to prove that the product works as per specification and expectation. Whatever we expect from the software will work accordingly. Then what is negative testing? Negative testing is done to show that the product does not fail when the unexpected input is given. Whenever we are giving some unexpected input, the software does not fail. That can be cared about in case of negative testing. Positive testing means whatever we are expecting, that will meet. Negative testing means if any type of unexpected input is given to the software never fails. It covers a scenario for which the product is not designed and coded. Then the most important thing is boundary value analysis. In case of boundary value analysis, whatever inputs are present in the boundary of the software, that can be analyzed. See, experience shows that test cases that are close to the boundary condition have a higher chances of detecting an error. The test cases, the values, the inputs which are present in the boundary or close to the boundary are higher chances of detecting errors. Here, boundary conditions means just below the boundary, that means upper side, or just above the boundary, that means lower side. Okay. Suppose we have an input variable x with a range from 1 to 100. So what are the different boundary values? The different boundary values are 1, 2 and 99, 100. 1, okay, next value is 2. This is the boundary, lower boundary. And what is the upper boundary? Now sir, upper boundary is 100 and below 100, 99. 1 to 100 means one is lower boundary, other thing is upper boundary. Lower boundary means 1, 2, upper boundary means 99, 100. Okay, so these things are tested here. Okay, so these boundaries, let us consider A, B, C, D. So these boundary values are tested in case of boundary value analysis. Okay. Next thing is equivalence class partitioning. What is equivalence class partitioning? Now what are the different sets of input? We can partition, we can divide the inputs into different parts and then test the things. To see what here it is written, the set of input values that generate one single expected output is called a partition. Okay, what are the different input values that gives the output is called a partition. When the behavior of the software is the same for a set of values, then the set is termed as an equivalence class or partitioning. If I can give different types of values and for all values the software works in the similar manner, in the same manner, then that term is known as equivalence class or a partition. Okay, the software is same for all the set of values, then that is called as equivalence class. Since all the values produce equal and same output, they are termed as equivalence partition. If I give different types of input and for every input the software is same, software gives the same result for all the inputs, then that is known as my equivalence partitioning. Then why equivalence partitioning is used? To keep down our testing cost. We do not want to write several test cases that test the same aspect of our program. A good test case uncovers a different class of errors that has been uncovered by prior test cases. Okay. That means, what is the main purpose? Why I am using equivalence class partitioning? The main purpose of equivalence class partitioning is to reduce the number of test cases. If I am using equivalence class partitioning, we can reduce the number of test cases. That means time consuming must be low. Here it is written, used to reduce the number of test cases that need to be developed. Okay. In short, it is a software test design technique that involves dividing input values. We can divide input values into valid and invalid partitions. What are the different valid values? We can separate that. What are the different invalid values? We can separate that. That means separating invalid and valid inputs. Thereby, it increasing the coverage and reducing the effort involved in testing. Okay, this is the main thing. We can reduce the effort and increasing the coverage in case of equivalence class partitioning. Partitioning means dividing. What things we can divide? Sir, we can divide the valid input and invalid input. Okay. Okay, dividing invalid and valid input. So this is, then what are the different advantages? Tester requires no knowledge of implementation and programming language. Okay, we have already discussed that. Reveals any ambiguities and inconsistency in the functional specification. That means if any error is there, we can see as early as possible. Efficient when used on large system. It is efficient for large system. Tests are done from user's point of view. Test cases can be designed as soon as the specifications are complete. Okay. Then these are what are the disadvantages? Only a small number of possible inputs can be tested. Main disadvantage. Without clear specification, which is the situation in many projects, test cases will be difficult to design. Since this testing approach is started as early as possible, so without clear specification, we are performing the test. Test can be redundant if the software designer or developer has already run a test case. Okay, redundant means repetition. Some test cases are repeated here. Okay, this is all about my black box testing. Then this is the comparison between black box and white box testing. See, this is the definition first. Black box testing is a software testing method in which the internal structure, design, implementation of the item being tested is not known to the tester. These things are not known. What are the internal structure, what is the design, what is the implementation? We are not in a position to know. But in case of white box testing method in which the internal structure, design, implementation of the item being tested is known to the tester. Here not known, but here known to the tester. What are the levels of applicable what are the different levels applicable? Now, mainly applicable higher levels of testing, acceptance and system testing. But here unit testing and integration testing. Then what is the scope? It is suitable for large project. Black box testing is suitable for large project. White box testing is suitable for small project. Any type of programming knowledge in case of black box testing not required, but in case of white box testing required, must be required. Implementation knowledge In case of black box testing, not required. In case of white box testing, required. Basic for test cases, in case of black box testing, requirement specification. From the test cases, requirement specification. And here, detailed design. Then time. This is the least time consuming and exhaustive. Okay, because in case of equivalence class partitioning, test cases are reduced, so least time consuming, but it is the more time consuming process. Okay, in many times this black box and white box testings are arises. Hello? Okay, in many time these things are asked in case of black box and white box testing. So this is all about my testing approaches. This is very important for the examination point of view. Black box testing and white box testing. In addition to, sometimes in exam, integration testing, unit testing, system testing will be asked. So for examination point of view, testing is very important. So revise this topic again and again. Okay, if any doubt, please ask me. Okay, thank you.